Hi, Precalculus. I just wanted to finish these last two problems on the notes. Me walking my way through these problems so that you could get started. So what we were doing on this problem right here, the y equals 2 cosecant of x minus pi over 2. And remember that we wrote it as 1 over 2 sine of x minus pi over 2. So we're talking about the sign being shifted. And so I know it's going to go through 0, 0 at pi over 2. Or, it's going to go through as a 0, positively through as a 0 at pi over 2. And then since our period is 2 pi, remember how I said we were going to create our intervals? We divide by 4, so our intervals are pi over 2. So that means that from this, for my function, my skeleton, every pi over 2, it's going to reach its highest and lowest point. So this is going to, at pi over 2, plus pi over 2 is pi, because that'd be 2 pi over 2. It's going to hit 2. Then it's going to go back down to 0, plus another pi over 2, which is 3 pi over 2. Then it's going to go back to down to negative 2 at 2 pi, and then come back up to 0. And again, these are your, this is your skeleton. Oops. Okay, and you could keep going if you wanted to. Oops. But that is your skeleton. And so wherever it's 0, you're going to put your vertical asymptotes in. So my vertical asymptotes are going in, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, and 5 pi over 2, negative pi over 2, negative 3 pi over 2, and negative 5 pi over 2. And of course, as we said before, they're going to share that point, go up, share this point, go down. This one will be coming up like that. We went from 2 to negative 2 on that because of this amplitude. Okay? Oops, I forgot one. So check to make sure that from here to here, where it's done, the lowest and the highest, that should be your 2 pi radians. So if you went from 3 pi over 2 to negative pi over 2, that gives you 3 pi over 2 plus pi over 2, which is 4 pi over 2, and that is your 2 pi radians. And that's just how you can check it. The points that you would have used if you were on Alex are the points 0, negative 2, pi 2, 2 pi, negative 2, negative pi, positive 2, negative 2 pi, negative 2. So there's all your points for that if you were using, if you were doing this on Alex. All right, so let's look at the next one. This one, I'm going to do it in a different color. I'll do it in red. Remember that this is equivalent to the reciprocal, the reciprocal 1 over negative cosine of 2x minus pi and then minus 1. Kind of ran out there. So this negative 1 means it's shifted down 1 for my center line. So my center line is going to be here for my skeleton. That's my center line because of that minus 1. And the amplitude is 1. So the first thing we need to do when we see this is factor out that b value. You see that they did that. They factored it out, and they took that 2 out, and then when you factor something, it's like division by 2. So your actual, you know, for your a is 1, right? Well, I mean, it's negative 1, so it's going to be we're going to be sketching the skeleton of a negative cosine function. So your vertical shift, we said, was y equals negative 1. Your phase shift, now that you've factored it out, your phase shift is your pi over 2. Your horizontal transformation is 2, so that means you take 2 pi over 2, because it's 2 pi divided by b, so your period is pi. Completes a cycle in pi radians. And then that reciprocal function, like I said, negative cosine of 2 times x minus pi over 2 minus 1. So for this one, it's going to be at its lowest point at pi over 2. That's when it's going to be at its lowest. Okay, which is going to be, since the amplitude is 1, the lowest point for your skeleton. I keep forgetting skeleton, but now actually, since this is your center line, it would be negative 1 from the center line, which I almost started sketching it in the wrong spot. Sorry about that. So this is negative 1 from the center line. And since the period is pi, our intervals are going to be every pi over 4. It's going to hit like one of its special places. So these are, it's in pi over 4. So at pi over 4, it's going to go up to 0. Another pi over 4, it's going to go to positive 1. Then it's going to go through 0 at another pi over 4, negative 1, or negative 2 actually. And I said 1 here, but since it's shifted down, it's actually 0. And back up to here. So hopefully you can see that skeleton. And then this is going to be where your vertical asymptotes are, where this is going through the center line. So that's considered your 0. So where it's going through the center line. This one would actually be 1 too, because it's going through the center line there. Okay, and technically this endpoint would be also 1. Okay, so now to actually sketch the graph of the function at its highest and at its lowest. Okay, so if we had to pick some points for Alex 0, 0, that's that point right there. Pi over 2, negative 2. Pi 0. 3 pi over 2, negative 2. Negative pi 0. Oops, I forgot negative pi over 2. negative 2. So there's plenty of points there. Hopefully that makes sense. These are the ones that are a little bit harder to sketch because they had